Hey guys, my name is Gene. Today we're going to be talking about for loops and for each loops. It's going to be super epic and we're going to get into it right now. So what we have here is a while loop that fills an array full of the word array. So this is a string array that's named array, and this while loop is going to fill that array with the word array. It's totally not confusing at all. So now, what if one day we're wondering, um, is there a way we could write this while loop like a little bit shorter? What if we wanted to shorten it a little bit? And what we can do that by using a for loop. And I'll write a for loop right down here. Boom. Um, and what this loop does is the exact same thing this loop does. So if you kind of want to make it like this line of code, this block of code up here does the exact same thing as this line of code down here. So yeah, this block does the same thing as this block. And in essence, all a for loop is that it stuffs your counter, your condition or your comparison right here, and your incrementer into a single line and makes it all fit in this for loop parentheses. So this is the format of a for loop. You're gonna have your counter here, semicolon, and you're gonna have your comparison or condition, and you're gonna have another semicolon, and you're gonna finally have your increment, your incrementer. Like for now, we're making it go up by one, so it's just a plus plus, and we have whatever the loop does in the middle right here. So once again, this while loop does the exact same thing this for loop does, and vice versa. So now you know how a for loop works and how to make one. So I think that'll take care of that. And we'll get rid of this loop right here because we now have a for loop that does the same job that it did before. So let's get rid of that. And yeah, so let's make another loop in order to print out this array that we just filled with the word array. So we'll make another for loop and we'll name this counter count2. Oh yeah, make sure to make equals 0 or whatever you want to start with. And we're gonna make this run for the length of array, and we're gonna increment it by 1. So all we're gonna put here is a print statement with the element that we want. So it'll just be like that. And let's try running this. So yeah, so we have array, and the only reason this worked was because I actually compiled this program before. So yeah, so we can compile it again. That might have been kind of weird, but yeah, we'll print array. So now we know that that works. So yeah, these loops does what it's supposed to do. These loops do what they're supposed to do. So we can move on. So for now, these loops, for loops and arrays go together really well. So, and you can do like a lot of amazing stuff with them. And later when we get into sorting and nested loops where you put them inside of each other, like a for loop instead of a for loop instead of a for loop, and yes, you can do that. For loops come in real handy because it's a lot cleaner and more compact in comparison to a while loop. So if I were to put a for loop inside of a for loop, I'll just put another for, like a statement in there again, right? But if it was a while loop, imagine like you would have to put like int count and then put while down here, and it would be more space than a for loop. Not saying it's necessarily bad, I'm just saying a for loop puts everything in one line, so it might be a little bit easier for some people, right? So yeah, so you can use for loops and arrays really well together. But this doesn't mean that you should just stick to one loop and like limit yourself to just using a for loop or just using a while loop. While loops are in some cases way more useful than for loops, and this works like vice versa. So basically you should be able to comfortably use and take advantage of both types of loops and just not stick to one. And that's it for for loops. I forgot to mention, there's actually more to a for loop. So, I told you guys that arrays and for loops work together really well. There's actually this really cool version of a for loop called a for each loop. So it's called a for each. And this is also called an enhanced for loop. Some people call it that. And this loop is designed. This was designed by Java developers to make it work even easier with arrays. And what it is it's just a for loop that has an array like attached to it. So I'll write a for each loop for you guys right now. And if it's confusing, don't worry. I'll go through all the elements of it. And oops, this is supposed to be a regular colon, like that. So once again, this is a for each loop. And if you look here, you'll see there's a string, there's a variable word, and this colon here, and we have the name of our array. We have our array, our string array here. And all this does is, what this is saying is that for each element of the array, this is what this means. This is referring to the elements of array. And for each element of the array, I want the element to be represented by this variable word, and it will print out each element of the array. So this for loop does the exact same thing as this for loop, and that's what a for each loop is. So it's just a for loop without a counter, and it has a single variable that represents the elements of your array. And this for loop, once again, this for each loop does the same thing as this loop. So let's comment this out for now, but if we try running it again, if we try running our code, wait, what happened? Okay, so let's comment that out, and if we try running our code again, we'll see that it'll just print out array, right? Now let's try commenting out these lines of code, and we'll uncomment this, and we'll run this again. We'll compile and run this again, and we'll get the exact same thing outputted. So yeah, this is how you use a for each loop. And yeah, for each loops are really useful when you're using an array. So this is designed specifically for an array. And let's say, for example, let's say you're working with an integer array. So this array is an integer now, so like this. Then you would have to change this to an integer as well, because now you're working with integers, not strings. And you just want to make sure that this type matches the type of your array, and you'll be golden. So this is your lab, and it's fairly simple because you probably already have the code for like a good majority of this. So all you're doing is you're placing rectangles at random places, and you want them to be random colors too. So you'll have to randomize two things: one, the color of the rectangle, and two, the location of each rectangle. And the second part of the lab is to use an enhanced for loop, or a for each loop, to print out the y coordinates for each rectangle. So you would apply what you learned for the for each loop, do for, and then rectangle like something, and then colon, and then you would do your rectangle array, and then you just print out the y coordinates for each of the elements of your array. And that's all you need to do for this lab. And yeah, good luck, and see you on the next one. Bye.